What's up, guys? It's Brock from the Backpacker again. Today we're going to go over some of the custom rigging options that we do in-house here at our kayak shop. So we're going to kind of focus on my rig here. It's a 2019 Hobie Outback, and a couple of the main things that I have set up will be the marine mat, the Lowrance fish finder, my custom Hobie H-crate, as well as the power pole that I have mounted on the back. So to start out, we're going to go over the marine mat that I put on my boat. Couple reasons that you'd want a marine mat would be: one, to dampen the noise on the boat; two, it's a little bit nicer to stand on, especially when we sight fish for 5 or 6 hours a day. It's better than just standing on the hard plastic; and three, it gives you a little more options to customize your boat. So I went with the full kit on my Outback. You have two options with this Outback series, both the full and the interior. The main reason I went with the full kit was because it covers up on the front deck. It allows me to actually stand up here right in front of the rod holder, so I get a little bit higher up and closer to the fish when I'm sight fishing. And when I lay paddles and rods down up here, it really dampens the noise of that. So moving back, I have a fish finder on this kayak. It's a Lowrance Elite 7 Ti2. Went with the 7-inch screen just because it gives me a little bit better view, especially if I want to have the maps open, which a lot of our guys in Louisiana like, so we can navigate the marshes. Another thing I like about this unit is it will accept a mapping card. So we'll show you this later, but it does have a card in there that will basically allow me to see Google Earth on my screen, so I don't have to constantly be looking at my phone and running down my phone battery. And another thing I like about this unit is it is a touch screen, so I can scroll around just by touching the screen and not have to mess with any buttons. So it's basically like having an iPad on your boat. It also does have a side scan transducer, so it's a little added feature that you can take advantage of with the 2019 Outback. Basically, it has a plate on the bottom that you can recess into the hole and then drop down when you want to use it. Moving further back, I have my Hobie H-crate. Couple of things that I did to it: I added 3 rod holders to the back. Just gives me a little bit more rod storage, and it kind of organizes the back of the boat a little better. That way I don't have all my rods in the flush mounts or in the ones that are already on the crate. And then another thing I did was I mounted my Railblazer camera boom to it. So it allows me to swing the camera over to me when I need to turn it on, swing it back, and it's still in the same position that I had it in. It's also cool to have a hero shot from that angle just to kind of mix it up a little bit. And then finally I did put a Yak Attack VisiCarbon Pro in the back, just to have that added safety, and also to give me my 360 light, which is required by Coast Guard. Then moving all the way to the back of the boat, I have a power pole micro anchor. It's got an 8-foot spike. I have the ultralight spike on here. I also have the battery pack, which can give you about 200 cycles up and down off of one charge. So basically I can use this battery for 2 or 3 trips and not have to worry about recharging it. So it's really good if you're doing any camping. You don't have to worry about charging your batteries, or if you just go down to the coast for the weekend. So comes in really in handy when we're sight fishing in the marsh. Just a quieter way of anchoring. That way you're not throwing around stakeout poles or anchors. So going back to the marine mat that I talked about earlier, we kind of spoke on why you would have it on your boat and some reasons that you should install it, but we'll also focus on why you would come to the Backpacker for it. So we do all the installs in-house that I talked about on my boat, so we can work with you on picking colors for your boat and show you past examples of what we've done before. And then once you've chosen your colors, we can order it directly from Marine Mat, and then we'll actually set it up for you in-house, so you don't have to worry about custom cutting anything. Everything's made through a template through Marine Mat, so we get the box in, we clean off your boat, and can install it normally in one day. Before I had marine mats on my boats, when we do a lot of sight fishing in shallow water, we'd pass through a pond and we'd see some redfish, and then as you put your paddle down, the whole school spooks. So now with the marine mat, it kind of deadens the sound of the boat, especially when you're moving around in shallow water, because it's amplified in those ponds. So now when I go to set down my paddle or go to pick up my rod and I hit the boat a little bit, those fish don't spook because I have the marine mat on the boat. So a lot of people ask why you would want a fish finder on your kayak, and for me there's a couple of reasons. The first would be the mapping capabilities. A lot of times we'll launch before daylight, or we'll choose a place to go that's a little bit further out of reach or out of sight of the landing. So you do need those mapping capabilities even though you're on a kayak. Most people think that you just need it for a boat because you're running 20 or 30 miles, but it's oftentimes very easy to get lost in our marshes 200 yards from the launch. So a lot of our guys do have a mapping card in their unit, which is why we go with the TI series. And then another reason is the fish finding capabilities. We don't only fish in this much of water for redfish. Sometimes we find ourselves in 7 to 10 or even 20 feet of water fishing for trout or bull reds. So having that eye below the surface and being able to kind of scope out what's actually going on underneath you is just an advantage that a lot of people don't consider when they're looking for a kayak. When I first got into kayak fishing, I didn't have a fish finder on my kayak, and when I would go out, it'd be a lot of visual fishing. So you'd see a redfish hit the bank, or you'd see some trout blow up blow up bait on the surface, but you wouldn't be able to see what's going on underneath you. So I would pass over a pond and never know that there's a trench going through it, or a secret oyster reef right there. So now that we have now that we have fish finders on our kayaks, we're able to pass over it, and we might not fish it that day, but we can mark what's going on in that area or notice something that's different that we didn't see before. So it's not just something for the big boats. You'll see a ton of guys with fish finders on their kayaks now. So the fish finders are going to come in a pretty good price range. You can go from the Hook 2 series, which will have units as low as $140, up to the Elite TI 2 series, which is going to have units upwards of $900. So it really just depends on what kind of capabilities you're looking for in the unit, whether it's having a cookie trail GPS mapping on it, or having something a little more advanced like a mapping card, as well as the fish finding capabilities such as having side scan transducers versus down scan, and as well as screen size. Whether you want a smaller screen, you're going to have it closer to you, or have a bigger screen so you can display more views at once. One of the common questions that we get about the fish finders is how you power it. A lot of people think you need, especially for a unit this size, a big bulky lawnmower battery on your kayak that's going to be heavy and take up a lot of room. But in reality, this small Naqua battery, which we have in the store, will power this unit for 7 or 8 hours, and some units up to 15 hours. So it's a all waterproof, all encased system. Comes with all waterproof connections as well. So really it's the perfect kayak battery because it saves weight, it's easy to set up, and you're not going to have to worry about corrosion getting to it. So moving back to the H crate, you see a lot of people who have milk crates on their kayaks, and those work. They allow you to be a little bit better organized, allow you to bring a few more rods. But a couple reasons that I went with the H crate is the mounting capabilities. You can see how I have my Railblaza camera boom 600 right here. Just gives me another place to put my camera. Gives you a pretty good view so you can capture all the action going on around you. And another reason is the rod holders that are built into it. So it has 4 rod holders already built in. Those are on the 4 corners, and then I also added 3 rod holders to the back. So it gives me 7 places to put rods, and in reality I'm not going to bring 7 rods all the time, but the biggest thing for me is to have options. So when the chaos is going on and I need to put a rod down really quick, I have 2 options really close to me that normally I don't have rods in. So instead of having rods laying on the deck, which can easily be broken, I have a quick access place to put my rods in. I also put the H-Crate soft cover on it. A couple reasons for that. If it does rain, keeps my stuff dry. It's obviously not waterproof, but I don't have to worry about them getting soaked from a light rain. And then another reason is for travel. I can keep everything that I want to fish with in my crate, and I don't have to worry about it flying out when I'm on the highway. So for a lot of our run and gun tournaments like the IFA and Bayou Coast, where we're hopping to different spots, I don't have to worry about my stuff flying out and losing a box on the road. If you don't want to go with an H crate, we also have other options in the store. The standard milk crate, which we have rod holders that you can mount to as well as some other storage pouches. So you could kind of take an ordinary milk crate and trick it out just like I have this H crate. That way you can save a little bit of money, and also it gives you a little bit of room to customize it to fit your needs. So obviously you don't have to have something like the H crate to do the job, but it is another option on the market for you to upgrade to. So moving back to the back of the boat, I do have a power pole micro anchor installed. What's really nice about the 2019 Outbacks is they are pre-drilled to accept the power pole bracket. So you don't have to drill any holes yourself. You don't have to mount any additional mounting plates. It's got the four bolt pattern already on the back, so it's super easy to pop those 4 screws in. I do have the battery pack on this unit as well. So like I said, it does give you 200 cycles up and down. It's really nice when you're doing a long weekend trip. That's one less thing you have to worry about, which is charging that battery. It does have an 8-foot spike on here, so roughly you can anchor in about 7 feet of water. You need a little bit more room just to get the spike to drive in the mud, but for most of our applications down here, that fits the bill. Super easy to use. All you got to do is hit your remote and you can drop the spike down. So one of the best uses for these power poles in our area is going to be when you're sight fishing. I have a lot of scenarios where you go into a pond and you'll see a school of redfish, but you don't want to spook that entire school. So it's super easy to hit your remote, drop the power pole right there, and then you can actually pick off a fish and then not worry about spooking the entire school. So instead of having to fumble around with stakeout poles and push poles and even anchors, all you have to do is press the button, it quietly goes into the mud, and then you don't have to worry about spooking the entire pond as the fish is pulling you around. A setup like this is going to be around $1,000. If you do need additional mounts, we do have those in stock, especially for the Compass and the Pro Angler series. So that will be an additional charge, but it is something that we can install in store for you. So that was the tour of my 2019 Outback. I've rigged up a lot of boats similar to this, and I can definitely rig your boat up just the same. Some benefits to custom rigging your kayak is you can make it your own. You can customize it down from the marine mat to each and every accessory that you put on there. You can also set it up exactly for how you like to fish. So we don't sell cookie cutter kayaks. And finally, we can do all the rigging in-house. So you can either drop your boat off to us and have us trick it out, or when you come to buy the boat, you can get it all done at one time. That way you pick your boat up and you're ready to hit the water.
And don't forget, be sure to visit us online at www.backpackeroutdoors.com or in one of our stores in Baton Rouge and Lafayette.